Woo!
This meeting is being recorded.
I still have chills. And also
We've
now I have like anxiety like in my bladder, and now like I have to pee knowing that I
No,
can't for the
I
next
just
2
hit
hours.
record.
I'm not going to, but like I just know that I have the fear.
Oh my
So
god. Oh, I know you have the fear. TM TM. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 227.
T7 nailed
We
it.
are here for you and only you.
And not at all for us.
Not about it's really selfless act
It
actually that
is
we're
our
here.
birthday month, to be clear, but it's about you, says the Gemini.
Yeah, we have
JK.
to work on our birthday month. That's ridiculous.
How was your official birthday? What did you do on your big
Oh,
day?
we never even really we FaceTimed on the day, but we never really it was great. Thank you so much for asking. My dad made this beautiful collage for my 30th of all these like childhood memories. I posted a photo of it on Instagram, but it had like and then he put all these he thinks he's funny. He put all these like captions underneath that were just kind of like calling me out for things like he found a report card from 7th grade and like highlighted all the things that say like disruptive in class, like never stops talking.
I love it.
So just really, it was really sweet. But my mom had a little barbecue and Blaze brought me bagel. I mean, it was just like a very relaxing and food focused since I couldn't drink
Ah,
day. How
well,
about you?
it's been good. I'm in the middle of a month-long upward spiral of Allison
Upwards.
surprising me every weekend
Oh
with
my God.
stuff. So she knows me well. She's doing an excellent job. Tomorrow, apparently, there is a half surprise party where like I know that there's a party, but I'm not allowed to know like what's happening at the party, which makes it
Oh,
more scary to me
that's
because
honestly
like
really daunting. Yeah.
if I heard it was a surprise party, I'd be like, oh, it's just people that I know coming together. But apparently there's like a thing that like I can't know about, and that's terrifying. But she started out very strong on my actual birthday. Uh, Someone who is not me, who is Allison, found out that there is a Carlos Bakery
Oh
in Los Angeles.
my God.
And homegirl didn't tell me. She just drove me all the way to Santa Monica. And I was like, what on earth are we doing out here? Do a little walk, and all of a sudden I'm in front of Hoboken, baby. And we got a cake.
This is
It
from the
was
Cake Boss because, like, I wouldn't know what Emma's talking about if I hadn't seen the pictures. This is
the
from
Cake
the show
Boss.
The Cake Boss, to be clear.
If you are a new listener, then you missed me. There was a huge part of my quarantine where I was obsessed with the boss all over again. And but anyway, so I had my first ever Carlos Bakery cake. It was superhero themed. It you could put whatever you wanted on it, and Allison
Aw,
asked them to write on the cake, "That's Hoboken, baby."
that's so cute.
And anyway, I wanted to remind you, you already know because I showed to you on FaceTime, but I want everyone else to know that while I was there, I couldn't avoid getting some merch. And look what I found, a little onesie. And it
It's
says
a
fresh
little
out of the
onesie.
oven.
Oh my God, it's so cute. I like
Oh,
cried when Em showed me.
you're going to have a little cake baby.
Oh my
Yay.
God. Well, fittingly enough, I wanted to update you. I finally figured out how to figure out the 90s size. And I told you, but this week the baby's the size of a Furby. So that's
Horrific.
horrible. I thought you liked Furbies. That's why I sent it to you. I
I like
did not.
how fucking creepy they are. So
Okay, okay.
I like how creepy your baby is too, but
Well, I'm so annoyed because the week that it was a couple of weeks ago and it was the size of a Beanie Baby and I couldn't and I feel like that was such a like good a good reference, but now it's a Furby. So,
it
you
really
know,
went from 100 to 0 very
who
quickly.
who knows? 100 to 0, but I also want to say thank you real quick cuz I some people have sent some really really kind gifts and I don't have everything written down, but people have sent like I got a bunch of like lemon obviously lemon onesies and like little lemon stuff for the nursery and someone even made a quilt. And then one group of listeners, oh my God, I have to, will they DM me? I forget who sent it, but it's like this anthology of like children's books, but they're all written about cryptids. I
Oh,
meant
wow.
I meant to bring it upstairs to show
Where's
you.
my copy? That sounds like something I'd read
Oh,
also.
I'm gonna read them to you because they're so cute. It's like good night, Krampus, and like I just it's the coolest thing ever.
Oh,
Um,
were they a book of 5?
yes.
I own that for myself.
Oh, you already own it? Okay, forget it. I own that for myself. Well, I don't remember who sent it. Shoot, I have the card somewhere, but I've just been like so overwhelmed with kindness. So thank you everybody.
Thank you
And
also for me to whoever gave you that because I literally purchased it like a year ago thinking, oh, one day when Christine's pregnant, I will mail this to her. And then I got attached to them and I didn't want to give them to you.
Okay, I was like, that's an odd. Okay, I
No,
see.
are you kidding me? I don't read anything but picture
No,
books
they're
and it's about
so
cryptids.
cute.
It made total sense.
They're so cute, and it's like in this little anthology box. It's adorable. So we have a couple of things to say here, which is that our BFF CK, sometimes I just reminisce on the early days when he touched that haunted chair. Thank God he's still, fine.
Now, also just an OG listener. He's been
Right.
around since truly, I think, episode 1.
Like so long ago, and is a podcaster in his own right with like arguably the greatest podcasting voice ever. And reads our Patreon stories. So just a gem and a half. So we want him to win a BBC Podcast Award. It's the British Podcasting Awards, and we're going to put the link in the show notes of this episode. And I think the link can be found probably on our Facebook and elsewhere on social media, but definitely in the show notes of the episode, or if you just Google, I guess, British Podcasting Awards, vote for Mirths and Monsters because it's a great program, and it's so well produced and it's just so soothing to listen to. I love it. It's spelled Mirths, Mirths, Mirths and Monsters. So go give it a vote. I already did, so I can't do it again apparently. So you guys go do it, please, on our behalf.
I also wanted to give a shameless plug that I was recently on the Zane Lamprey Show, which is a podcast.
Yeah.
It was the first podcast I've done in person since quarantine.
Oh, how weird. Oh my gosh.
It was very odd. Although the podcast itself was lovely. I got to talk about ghosts the whole time. Zane is actually a travel and drinks host on Nat Geo and the Travel Channel, and seems like a pretty down-to-earth person. Apparently he's about to do a comedy tour at a bunch of breweries throughout the country. He's been to like 70 different countries. I mean, he's a very interesting fella. But wanted to give him a shout out. He also taught me some fun facts about one of the Back to the Future actresses recently.
Oh, hey.
So we got along very well.
What's the show called again?
The Zane Lamprey Show.
Oh, okay, so I have to listen to that. I miss beer so much, you guys. I also I know it just sounds like we're just like rattling stuff off, but it is important. This is about our tour. Okay, remember how there's a word called tour and we used to do it? Because I do vaguely, very vaguely.
All alone in the
so alone. So many memories and so alone. It almost gives new meaning to that scrapbook that I made you that one year, where it's just like, who knew that scrapbook would just encapsulate like the only travel we would do for years to come.
You know what? You scrapbooked all of our memories into one book. So well done.
I still find I moved across the country and I still find like glitter and stuff everywhere from that stupid scrapbook.
I love it.
So we have a slight update, which I guess most people know by now, but we haven't been able to fully announce yet, which is that pretty much all our tour dates are being moved to 2022 officially. We were really trying to keep some in this year to keep it kind of close, but it just wasn't going to happen with full capacity. We want to make sure everybody who has a ticket is able to see the show. We didn't want to kick out there was just no good way to make it half capacity.
It's been real tricky trying to get back and forth with venues, and so many different venues had different protocols, but then they were all trying to come to terms with one protocol, but it's just been really tricky to figure out.
Different states and even Canada. I mean, everyone has some different rule.
So we just decided we're just going to hold off until we know everybody who has a ticket can come all at once without being in fear about, where they can sit or, anything like that.
And by that time the spawn will be born, because honestly, then I threw a wrench in the rest of 2021 because October on, who the hell knows? There's a child.
Look, I'm going to be in a city near you, and Christine may or may not be there with a baby on her head. So
yeah. So that's that. And also, I know we haven't recorded our birthday gift. Has your box arrived yet? It was supposed to arrive this morning. Oh, okay.
It might have, and I just didn't see it.
Okay, I think it arrived today. So we're gonna do a gift exchange, which I'm really excited about, and I think we'll probably update you on what happened next week. But if you want to watch the gift exchange, we'll put that on Patreon.
Perfect.
Woo!
Should we say anything about I guess, well, I've already said it out loud.
Say it.
So if you have a ticket, and let's say
Oh, yeah,
during
yeah, yeah.
COVID there were some circumstances in which you moved home, which a lot of people did, and you're wondering, can I refund my ticket or
Or
anything?
you
You
just
should.
don't like us anymore, which,
Maybe you
like,
just don't fucking like us. That's
who
fine.
knows? It's possible.
Um, then you should be able to refund it through the venue,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. So
Okay.
you all tickets can be transferred. So if you have a ticket, you are able to come see the show. You don't need to like buy a new one or anything. But if you're not able to make it or you simply don't want to, which don't tell us that, that makes me really sad. But if you don't want to come, you can get a refund and that should go through your venue. If you have problems, let us know, but it should go directly through the venue or wherever you bought the ticket, basically.
And if you're one of those heroes who has stuck it out literally for 2 years to see us live, like I can't wait to go crowd surfing or something
Oh
when
my
it's
God, we're
like
gonna love you guys more than any, but like we're gonna love you
it's
so
gonna be
much.
out of sight. We'll have to do one of our like old school like get kicked out of Yard House because too many people are all in one space
Good
situation.
times. We used to literally get kicked out of places because we'd be like, who wants to go drink? And then just drag the entire audience along. What were we thinking? Good times. I miss those days.
Anyway, if
Anyway.
you have if you have any questions, you should be able to just reach out to the venue. But if you ever did get a ticket, we really want you to be there. And if for some reason someone has to exchange their ticket and now there's an availability and you want to come to our show, please do.
Yes.
We want you there.
There should be new tickets up when people hopefully not hopefully, but you know, if people are returning their tickets or whatever, hopefully there will be some for people who weren't able to get one originally. So
Perfect.
oh my gosh. It's just I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see everybody.
I
It's
can't
gonna
wait
be
to go back on tour,
surreal.
which is if you told me I
Yes,
felt that
exactly.
way in 2019, I would have been like, that's not true. But no, I
Exactly.
can't wait to go back.
I'm already planning
Um,
like to bring my mom or Blaze or somebody to take the baby with us because I think I'm gonna be just have I have separation anxiety about my dog, so I don't think I'm gonna cope well with a
I
human.
am nervous about you becoming like one of those moms, which like you have every right to be
Wait,
because like it's
what
literally
mom?
your
What one of
baby.
those?
The ones that get like who can't remove themselves from their
Well, I
baby.
mean, it's hard at the first few months you're breastfeeding. What am I gonna do? Walk around like mailing, you know?
Also, like it is your job as a mother to keep it alive, you know.
Yeah,
But
I feel like the first few months are gonna be rough, um, but you know what? Baby might have to come because I don't know how else. I mean, probably be
at some
easier.
point, I am excited for when you're over it and you just keep handing the baby to me and you're like, okay,
I'm over it.
you can get attached to someone else now.
As if I'm the one who's gonna get unattached from something. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we'll
As
see.
we learned through the her scene shifter. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Everyone loved that episode, by the way. You did a great job.
Thank you for figuring it out eventually.
Everyone keeps commenting, that's the greatest half episode of And That's Why I Drink ever. And I was like, ow.
To be fair, yours half was like a real bummer.
It was a bummer and a half. Yep.
All right. So, and then the last thing I'm going to say, because we can't edit this video, so there's going to be like a weird, awkward period at some point in
Oh,
this
yeah.
because I have a time sensitive package coming and it's happening while we're recording. So, at some point, there's going to be like a weird hold for elevator music, except there is no elevator music. So just be prepared for
And
that.
that's just for the YouTube video. So hopefully
Yes.
we can cut this out of the audio. But for you
Perfect.
YouTubers,
You want it raw and unscripted. You're
yeah,
just gonna see my bedroom for a second.
they're like, we never asked for that. But here it is.
Okay, so my story this week is
Oh,
actually
I'm drinking Sunkiss. Sorry. I feel like
oh,
people are gonna see it on YouTube, and I just want to say I'm drinking this week Sunkiss because I obviously can't drink.
love a good orange soda.
Me too.
So speaking of live shows, these are actually notes from a live show back in
Ooh.
2019. I think this was one of our first shows we did in our 2019 tour, back when bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. This is one of our Dallas shows.
Ooh.
And this is the story of Miss Molly's Hotel in Fort Worth.
Okay, I'm excited.
I was reading through the notes last night and I was like, damn, like did I ever cover this for other people? And I checked on our website, which shout out, if you go on our website and you click on the listen tab, you can see a list of every single episode we've covered. So you can see
Yes.
all the topics.
M did that, I think. Didn't you do that?
Sure did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on there. So I was like, damn, I guess I'm gonna cover it today. So this is a story of Miss Molly's Hotel in Fort Worth. So
Sweet.
in historical Fort Worth, it's apparently just this story is just west of the Fort Worth Stockyards, which if you are from that area, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
I'll pretend to
I'm
be
sure
Dallas.
people at the audience screamed. So this is the oldest bed and breakfast in Fort Worth. Although laws have changed in Texas about serving food, so now they're only a hotel. So they're a bed and breakfast minus the breakfast.
Oh,
Um,
sad.
just a bed. But
Tragic.
here's the fun part about it. You know I love a good theme.
Oh yeah.
And the hotel only has 7 rooms. It has actually 9 rooms, but 7 of them have all different themes. I was very excited because I was hoping for like an irrigation theme a la Dwight Schrute.
Yes.
But anyway, so these are the other 2, by the way, are a private residence for the innkeeper.
Okay.
But the themed rooms, tell me which one strikes your fancy.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Cowboys.
That's it. The Cowboys. You know how I feel about haunted cowboys, cowboy ghosts. It's like my weird obsession.
Well, get ready for cowboy ghosts in this one. Okay, Cowboys, Miss Josie's, Miss Amelia's,
Okay.
Cattleman, Rodeo,
Ooh,
Gunslinger, and Railroader.
listen, I'm sticking with Cowboys. I one and done, man. I love my cowboy room. I want to stay there.
I think I would go with maybe Gunslinger, like just because I like to think there's a bunch of like Nerf targets on the walls or something. Like
I just feel like a ghost with a gun sounds like a lot for me emotionally and spiritually.
You know, a human with a gun sounds like a lot of emotional.
Precisely. But I'm assuming that if the ghosts are related to the theme at all,
if a gun were to ever get pointed and shot at me, I would hope it was a ghost gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2 most haunted rooms. Do you want to guess which 2 are the most haunted?
One of the Miss somethings or others. There's always a lady ghost, Miss Rosie or something. Josie, Miss Josie.
Miss Josie. Okay. And
Cattleman. That's the only one I remember.
Okay, you were right about Cattleman, and the other one is the Cowboy Room.
Oh, hell yeah. I knew it.
So Christine is on board. Okay. So fun fact, if we ever go back to Dallas, you can catch us in the Cowboy Room.
Or do we already?
I don't know. I'm just saying in the future, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Did we do our Dallas show in 2020 or is it rescheduled?
Oh, I don't remember.
I don't either. None of it seems
No, I think we went because we went to Houston, right?
Oh, I guess maybe Texas was like our earliest shows.
I don't remember anymore.
Listen, y'all. See, here I am.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, we went to Buc-ee's, homie. We definitely went.
Yeah, then you're right. We did because we. I think. Yeah, you're completely right.
Buc-ee's is like our favorite stop on the whole tour.
Eva says we went to Texas in early. I think she said early 2021, but I think she meant early 2020. The years all blend together, but yes,
that's okay. But thank you, Eva, for being on top of it.
Thank you. But she says she can't remember if Dallas was one of them because I think we even had to. Okay, it doesn't matter. But if we, I assume someday we'll be back in Dallas, whether we've been or not. So
perfect, and you can catch us at the Cowboy Room at Miss Molly's Hotel.
There. Yeah.
So this is the history of Fort Worth and how this even became to be a place that needed a haunted hotel.
Okay.
So the Cattleman had apparently left at one point during like early on in the 1900s or 1800s. They left and therefore all the cows started kind of roaming the area. They were able to do whatever they wanted. No one was like telling them what's what.
No more chaperones.
No more chaperones. It was like the Duggars gone crazy. And some apparently referred to this area as a cow's paradise because it was just like cows just doing whatever they want.
My mom keeps calling me an old cow, so maybe this is just the place for me. It's kind of rude, but anyway.
Maybe because you're moody.
No? I am that, certainly.
So then eventually I think people found out that the cows were having too much fun and all of a sudden cowboys came into the area and began rounding them up and selling them for $50 a pop. I don't know if this inflation is correct now, but I mean, I don't think much has changed in a year, but from what I put down last time I saw these notes in 1880, so around this time, selling a cow for $50 was the equivalent to selling a cow for almost like $1,500 today.
Woo, boy.
So big buckaroos. And Fort Worth's livestock industry because of this became super successful because there were so many cows to sell. And when Fort Worth started really booming in the livestock industry, they also built a railroad so that even more people could come into town. And by 1900, Fort Worth had gotten real busy. It had 37 saloons. It had 17 blacksmith shops, 24 wagon yards, 6 hide dealers, 7 barbers, stockyards, livestock businesses, and even a rodeo stadium.
Wow.
So it was going pretty cool,
Poppin'.
over there. By 1910, for obvious reasons, they were now in need for lodging in the area, especially because more wealthy cattlemen were coming in. And so the boarding house that later becomes Miss Molly's, the boarding house was built in 1910. It was called the Palace Rooms, and it was a very swanky hotel that was mainly meant for wealthy cattlemen, businessmen in Fort Worth. But during the Prohibition, the Palace Rooms, they ended up getting sold and they became the Oasis. And
Ooh.
the Oasis went from a swanky hotel to a brothel.
Oh.
So upgrade or downgrade depending on who you are. It was also a speakeasy because Prohibition, obviously.
Aha, upgrade.
Upgrade all of a sudden. Yep.
Mhm.
So by the 1940s, during its time in full swing as a speakeasy, more guests were coming in than just the wealthy. And that was when it officially became like a full bordello service because so many people were using it as a speakeasy. They're like, oh, all these men are here. Let's up the ante. And so it was eventually renamed to the Gayette Hotel, which it was still a brothel, by the way. Oh, sorry. The Oasis, I think, was a boarding house. And then when it became the Gayette, it was the brothel.
Okay. Also, I don't think the camera was on, but Gio just climbed behind me. Here he is, and he got a haircut this week, so I just want to show him
He's
off.
so handsome. That's exactly why. He was like, I'm not going to say people have to look at my new cut, but also maybe have the camera pointed at me. I don't know.
But also I'm just going to happen to saunter into frame.
And I'll also hide behind the chair as if like I don't want to be seen, but
He's so weird. He likes corners.
he's such a cutie pie. Okay. Well, okay, so sex work. So
right. Back to it.
so later when sexist, lol. Later when Texas made
Sorry. Wow, sexist. I'm sure we're not the first people to say that, but I like that a lot.
Later when Texas made sex work illegal, the Gayette Hotel was then sold and renovated. So now it has been the Palace Rooms, which was a swanky hotel, the Oasis, which was a boarding house and a speakeasy, which then kind of over time turned into the Gayette Hotel, which was a brothel.
Got it.
And now it's been sold and renovated. In 1989, it became Fort Worth's Star Cafe on the ground floor. And on the top floor was Miss Molly's, a bed and breakfast. So I have a whole category called deaths, but there's like only one bullet. So I don't know
you
what I
always
was thinking.
go at the show. You always used to go. What did you say? You said, what if I'm like, the pregnancy brain is a real thing and I keep forgetting words.
Let's just pretend I said something hysterical.
It was so funny that I can't remember it. It broke my brain.
Thank you.
You always say like, and now to the deaths, and then everyone would cheer, and it was a whole thing. At the live
just like the Renaissance or something. Okay, so so here are the deaths. That basically it was cowboys, sex workers, which neither of those are shocking, but also apparently a lot of sex workers because there was no contraception back then.
I know
they
where
would
this
have
is going.
babies, and then the dads would run off, and so the sex workers were forced to take care of the kids as single parents, and kids were also living in this brothel while their moms were working.
Yeah.
So at least that's my understanding of it. So although there were cowboys and sex workers who died, a lot of sex workers' children apparently also died here. I don't know the number, but sad. Enough to make it on the list. So some of the reasons for death were it was mainly illness. So there was smallpox, typhoid, measles, polio, diphtheria, whooping cough, all the things that Oregon Trail would tell you about.
Cholera.
And then there's
falling off what are those things? Falling off a
wagon?
Those things when they're trying to cross the river, you're fording the river.
Oh, a
It's
covered
too
wagon?
deep.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Sure. I'm sure if you fell off one, you could die. I don't think we're off
I
there.
think that's probably a way that somebody died. Yeah.
And then also, I'm assuming there's a whole gunslinger room. So I'm guessing a cowboy at some point was probably shot or
Yeah,
something.
guns were involved, it sounds like.
I think it's a safe bet to guess that. Um, and also, I think a lot of sex workers were said to, at least some of them were said to have died by suicide.
Ugh.
Um, so on to the ghosts. That was the whole bullet. There you go. So the rest of it is just ghosts. Good for us.
Woohoo!
So I miss people cheering.
I
That was always
know.
nice.
Don't I fill in for it? Is that not good enough?
It's reminding me of yesteryear. So there were full-bodied apparitions that apparently could intelligently communicate with guests and probably other ghosts. Um, Electronics would die while on a full charge. Some would wake up to apparitions sitting on the edge of their bed. I imagine
Ooh.
also a lot of them were men waking up to women sitting on their bed since they were residual hauntings of a
Oh.
brothel.
And they're like, well,
Um,
you're in my room. I assume you're here for one
a
thing,
quote a good
a
time.
good
Yeah.
time.
So in the hall and the bathrooms, people have smelled perfume. Also, their items regularly disappear and then reappear in odd places. So like you can leave like your, I don't know, keys by your nightstand and then you'll wake up and they're like behind the toilet or something. So just things that make no sense.
I love those though. Those are everyone probably knows this because I say it every time, but I just love like disappearing and moving objects. It like creeps me out.
You love it until it's your object, and
Yeah.
also your object is like your baby or something. So
Okay,
get
well,
ready.
my object. All right, when I say object, I mostly mean like not
If
alive.
something happens to me in upcoming years,
Check behind the toilet.
I will be leaving your baby behind the toilet just to see what happens. So just get ready for it.
Oh,
So speaking of toilets, the toilets also flush themselves and the sinks will fill themselves up until they're like almost overflowing.
oh,
But
geez,
no one even no one even pulled the handle.
that's weird.
Lights will turn themselves on and off, doors will lock and unlock, or they'll open. They'll do that thing where it's like when you're walking down the street and you almost bump into someone and you do the dance. It's like the door version of that where like you lock it as it's unlocking and then you unlock it as it's locking and then you end
Oh,
up just
that's
getting
so annoying.
stuck in this door dance.
Oh no.
Um yeah, I can't imagine like what if you're like rushing out, like you have to go somewhere and like you just keep getting
Well,
locked
the
in this
second that
room.
happens, I am rushing out because I don't want to be a part of this anymore. So
You
it's
don't even need the
terrifying.
lock. You would just run through the
I
door.
would goodbye. Here's a shape, a whole shape like me.
So one spirit apparently leaves coins all over rooms that were just cleaned by staff. Um, so
Hmm.
tips.
It makes me wonder if the coins have like years on them. Like, are they current coins or are they from like the 1800s? You know what I mean?
Wait, ooh, I just got. What
'Cause,
if
like, are
they're?
they taking it from people or are they like their coins from back in the day?
Yeah, didn't even
Ooh.
think about that. Oh, okay. If you happen to be someone who's been there and like found a penny, check it real quick.
Check the year. Yeah.
It'll say year 5. I don't know.
It'll say probably 2015 and
Yeah.
it's not going to be as impressive.
um, so a lot of the spirits here, like I said earlier, are former working girls from when the hotel was a bordello, and men have often said that they feel themselves getting grabbed, their hair being stroked, they feel their arm being pet or their back being rubbed. They feel themselves being held at night sometimes,
Whoa.
which is interesting because
Yeah.
now it tells me that cowboys in the 1880s who were all rough and tough were the baby
They
spoon.
like to be held.
Yeah.
Aw.
And also some have said that they've even felt their cheeks being kissed and heard a woman giggling next to their bed.
Oh my goodness. That's
Which
creepy.
like yeah, like I feel like half of this is supposed to sound real fun and real awesome, but like all of it just terrifies me.
Yeah, it's also like poltergroping. Like you didn't
Mhm.
ask to be held, or it's like too much.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Uh one of the bathrooms apparently is haunted because allegedly a woman was found dead in there. I think she was stabbed to death.
Oh, geez.
I don't know where I don't know I didn't hear about that in the deaths column of One Whole Bullet, so I don't know. Apparently, a woman may or may not have been stabbed to death in the bathroom. Also, lamps will unplug themselves and covers will get yanked off of you, which that has always terrified me. The
Yes.
concept of like, I'm like, I'm now bed naked,
Exposed. Yeah.
Yes. Bed naked with my sleep skin.
The worst kind of naked.
I'm just greasy and vulnerable.
Ew.
So people also see children in their rooms. So I think that's where
No.
they think that maybe they were the sex workers' kids.
Mhm.
They often think that people that are in the hotel often think that they're just kids that belong to another family in the hotel.
Wearing
and
like a
maybe
weird hat, an old-timey hat and overall and dungarees.
playing a hoop and stick and talking about gunslinging at the rodeo. They're like, why does my penny say the year 5? So apparently people think that those kids are lost, but then they'll go to the front desk and they'll be like, oh no, those are just the kids.
Yeah, the kids.
The kids, you know them well. People also see a cowboy walking through the halls and standing in the bathroom.
I'm in love with him already.
His name is Cowboy Jake.
Yes, it is.
Not Cowboy Jacob. He's a casual guy.
Of course he is.
Also hysterical that there was someone named Jake in the 1800s to me. I know there were Jacobs, but the fact that someone actually had a nickname like Jake, it's just like you don't think about it, and so it is weird to me.
I guess. Yeah, I guess. I don't
know. Jake feels like Cali Surfer Boy to me.
I feel like if it were like Brandon, I'd be like, what? But Jake strikes me as less weird.
I guess, yeah, like Trevor. It's like, Trevor? Like, wait a minute.
Bryson. Yeah, there's a lot of names that just like wouldn't quite fit.
Jaden,
there's a lot
the cowboy.
Of yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The cowboy.
Okay, so yes, Cowboy Jake. And apparently he's also known to walk through the halls and then like walk into a room and slam the door and then lock himself in there.
Sure.
Just wants some peace and quiet. That's Jake.
Who doesn't?
Also there are psychics, priests, and investigators who have all gone through to check out the place, and there has been a lot of evidence collected over time, including EVPs, which I will get to some of those. They're super cool. And statements from investigators are, I don't know if they still are, but they were displayed in the lobby. So I guess you could also like see the ghost stories for yourself. There is apparently a Bible in each room, allegedly also in every bathroom for protection.
Well, it's just because they kept hiding behind the toilet, and they were like, we might as well put one in each because
they're like, you know what?
Keep moving.
At this point, we have no idea. You should get like a waterproof one where all the pages are laminated and like shove it in the toilet, the thing tank in the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And of course, Miss Molly's has been on Ghost Lab and Ghost Adventures. Mr. Bagel Bites has been there.
Hey yo.
Here's the coolest thing I've ever heard of. You ready?
Oh my God. Wait, hold on.
Buckle up.
Am I ready? Yes, I got my sun kissed. I'm ready.
And again, this was a year ago, so I don't know. I should have updated my information, but I just ran with the notes. But apparently, at least at the time of this, at the least of the time of that I last reported, Miss Molly's has a deal with Texas Christian University, and it's apparently, ironically, Texas Christian University has a class called Paranormal Activity, where they have a deal with Miss Molly's Hotel where students can go make regular visits and I guess investigate.
How cool is that?
So like, I don't know if this student like got the equipment from class or owned their own equipment or whatever, but so one of the students went to the hotel and was, I think, staying the night and had brought like a spirit box where it like will shout words at you.
Yeah.
We know that all too well.
We know it well.
New Orleans trip.
Mm-hmm.
And she was sitting there reading a book and I guess nothing was going on. The spirit box was completely silent. And once she flipped to a certain page on the book, the spirit box said the word sentence. And then the next sentence that she read in the book was, quote, "I hope that my presence does not frighten you."
What the fuck? fuck book was she reading?
Also, how was the ghost like keeping perfect eye line with where she was
That is
reading?
weird. I wonder if it's like telepathy, like they can like
I
hear
get
her reading. I don't
that
know.
makes it
That's
even
so
creepier because it means
it's
that
way
like
creepy.
it's not only like the alien fear of like when I'm thinking of them, I'm
Yep.
giving them energy and they know I'm thinking of them. But in this world, it's like even when you're not aware of it or thinking about them, they're still in your head.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Ooh.
no.
For it
Oh
to know
no.
exactly where you were reading, no,
It's
thank you.
not good for me.
I would have started reading the Bible next and just
Well, I
silently.
was gonna say it sounds like the Bible. My present. I hope my presence. Well, maybe it doesn't sound like the
I
Bible.
would like to know what the book was. And also, at least like this spirit seemed friendly. It literally said, I hope I don't scare you.
That's true. Which in turn probably scared the absolute living.
Bonkers out of
Yeah.
her. Well, because I think, what if the spirit box said sentence and then the next sentence was like, I hate you. Like,
You'll die tonight. I hate you. Wow.
So there is one investigative team that came in 2008 and they had a lot of experiences. They are called the Texas Paranormal Advanced Research Team, and they call themselves part for Paranormal Advanced Research Team. Um, so part, they actually have really well done, really well kept reports of their investigation on their website. So go check that out if you are interested. And this is just a sampling of and then I think was it goes I think this is just all text part. So they saw shadows moving around. They heard certain EVPs, and one investigator actually felt like a spirit had walked through it,
Oh no.
which I don't know what that feeling is, but I imagine it's very specific. Um, when asked who was the president, this is super cool. They were saying, "Oh, who's the president?" Just to get a gauge of like how old they think they are or what year it is. An EVP caught a woman saying Grant. Um,
Whoa.
and investigators also reported that some of the women thought that it was the 1940s, but some of them were aware enough to know that it was 2008. So that makes me wonder, like, what defines,
Yeah.
like, what I have no idea how
Oh my
you
god.
either stay stuck in the past or you are aware.
Yeah.
Some of the spirits also knew that they were dead and some thought they were alive. So maybe if you think you're
Wow.
alive, you think it's the 1940s, and if you're dead, you're aware that you're just watching time pass by.
Like you're staying in the present and interacting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
imagine if you're interacting with people intelligently, you'd have to have some inkling that they're not like the people you knew in the 1940s. Like you would
Yeah.
think so anyway, but that's
But
so
also if a lot
creepy.
of the people died around the same time, I wonder, like, did some people is someone who still thinks it's the 1940s, were they best friends with someone who has kind of moved on and knows it's 2008,
Oh.
and are they friends, or does the
Or are they in a
2008
separate
go?
plane?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And because the 2008 people seem to be more aware, do you think they see the 1940s ghost, but the 1940s ghost? Look, we could get real high and real into a spiral with this if you'd like.
Wow. There are a lot of thoughts here.
A lot and none at the same time.
A lot and like negative. A lot. Yeah.
So investigators also reported hearing a woman or a child, but like a more high pitched voice, um, talking. Also heard them laughing. They also heard the sounds of dishes clinking or glasses maybe cheersing, and they heard poker chips being thrown around in a card game.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. They also said that a lot of the men, or all of the men in the team, at different times were touched by hands.
Mm.
They felt either their leg getting pet or their arm or their hair. Um, and they also reported hearing loud talking, um, and walking around and shutting doors as if they had just like kind of walked into someone doing their thing around the hotel.
Whoa.
There are apparently cold spots. There's apparently orbs. Different alarms and sensors were going off, yeah, when they shouldn't have been. And they had made contact with allegedly 6 different spirits. All of them were intelligent because they were able to respond to yes no questions through an EMF detector.
Mhm.
All of the women were between 27 and 44. Again, some knew they were dead, some knew they were alive. Um,
Or thought they were alive.
or thought they were alive. Yeah, sorry. They knew they were alive and we didn't. And we were like, what's going
Wait
on?
a second.
uh, and two of them, this is really sad, but they brought up their kids and said they missed them.
Oh no.
Many of them did not know how they died, but apparently this team also brought in a medium who was able to help them cross over.
I
So
was
that's
gonna
awesome.
ask about that. Okay, good.
I feel like you kind of have to if you plan on
Yeah, you have like a
inter-
responsibility at that point, I would think.
especially if you find out that they think they're alive and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, like this is not my forte. Like
And
I
they're
gotta bring
saying like I miss my kids and stuff. It's like, all right, do something about it.
yeah, yeah. Um so when talking with the spirits, apparently some of the crew felt pain in their head. They all, oh no, this is the medium, sorry. The medium felt pain in their head, their shoulder blade, and the left side of their body, and also their lungs. So we don't know if
Mm.
that was one person's really horrible way out of this world or
Mhm.
if they were feeling multiple spirits and how they all died.
Right.
Um so a statement from Tech's part after their investigation was, quote, "It is highly unusual for all investigators of a team to have experiences during an investigation. This was exciting and fascinating, and all methods possible were employed to debunk such activities, yet none could be debunked. All Tech's
Mm.
part members agreed that Miss Molly's is haunted, and we highly recommend Miss Molly's to other guests and groups." So
Cool.
they are on board. They're like, this place is haunted.
Check it out.
um, so here's my favorite part, and I suggest uh I suggest that you go watch some of the YouTube clips if this is your thing. But and I think I remember having an actual phone call with this person too. I'm pretty sure I remember calling the hotel and I remember hearing a woman with like a twang in her voice. It sounded familiar to the person I checked on YouTube earlier. Um, she was fun. I remember like hearing videos of her, and that was why I called because I was like, I don't want to just go off of quotes
I
from
don't
online.
understand how you could do that.
I want to hear
I'm
this.
having like a panic attack just thinking about this, but okay.
I remember I'm pretty sure I called her. I would bet money I called her. If you were at the Dell show and you remember, please let me know. But so the general manager slash the former innkeeper, her name is Miss Paula, and she has a lot to say about the ghosts. Like it is, she's not even trying to keep it quiet. Miss Paula is like, this place is bananas haunted. Um, this is a quote from her. A lot of these are just quotes, and I'm sorry, I don't know if these were from my phone call with her or YouTube.
You didn't write down like I called her in the notes. I guess you would have remembered at the
I
time.
think I remembered at the time and thought I'm never going to use these notes again.
Well,
Stupid.
you're also saying a year ago, but it would have been 2 years ago, right? Because it would have been
Yeah.
2019. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's a long time, at least for my memory.
I'm pretty sure I called her. It feels right as I say that. So, um, she ended up quitting her job as the innkeeper, although she still comes in every now and then to train new employees, which by the way, she said that there is a high turnover rate because the employees quote can't handle the ghosts. So she's like not hiding this.
Yeah.
She about leaving, she said, quote, "I was glad to leave. After living with them, I was glad to take a break from feeling crazy. They were mostly annoying and not harmful. I would get everything clean and they would come back and it's dirty. When your main job as an innkeeper is to keep things clean and you got a hotel full of ghosts that like to untidy things, let's just say a lot of times it led to me shouting in empty rooms."
Yeah, I would go crazy.
Yeah, I would be like, you got to be kidding me.
This is so
Um,
obnoxious.
she says that she heard voices and footsteps and like kind of all the traditional things of like bathroom water running, lights going on and off.
Bible in
She
the toilet. Yeah,
Bible
all
in the
the
toilet,
classics.
you know how it goes. And she called these spirits her resident cowboys, which is
Oh,
precious.
yeah.
But apparently she called them her resident cowboys because one thing I feel like we've talked about before, but I always forget, and then my mind's blown when we talk about it again, is that uh the resident cowboys she referred to as the ghosts that were there permanently. But one of the things that she learned about a haunted hotel was every family that comes in brings their own spirits. And so she's was constantly having to adjust to whatever spirit was there for
Oh,
those few days.
geez. And I would imagine if it's already a haunted place, that if you're bringing new spirits, it's like more likely to keep them or keep the
Yeah.
energy there. Wow, how spooky.
So this was a quote about her biggest issue. There isn't really an issue with the resident cowboys, but more with the guests bringing their spirits from home and never being able to keep up with the pranks. You'll finally get used to one ghost that turns lights on and off, and then another one comes in for a weekend that moves stuff off the shelves.
Oh
Can
my
you?
god.
It's like living in, like, I imagine a more chaotic, like Willy Wonka's factory,
Like
where
with a
like,
bunch of toddlers or something
yeah,
who
just
can't
something's
leave you
always
alone.
there's always a different fire to put out, and you can just never adjust
And
and get
sometimes a
used to
real fire
one.
to put out, I imagine.
Maybe, for all you know. But yeah, I can't imagine being like, oh, finally, like this ghost. I know their likes and their dislikes. And then there's a whole other one that walks in and is like, my turn, you know? If you had to be a ghost, like
Uh-huh.
what what is your go-to move
I
in
just feel like it
haunting?
would have to be a bar thing. You know how sometimes you tell stories about haunted bars and it's like the booze goes missing or like the glasses
Yeah.
move around. Like I think I would just and wouldn't even do it on purpose. I think I would just kind of gravitate toward that.
I think food for me would just always go missing.
Yeah, I feel like you and I would literally just drain everybody dry of food and a drink. Like we
But
would
then
just eat and drink.
but then I think of like Casper when his uncle's like eating all those sweets and it's just
Yeah,
like going through them, and it's like,
that
would
sounds
I even have an
sad.
appetite, you know?
Maybe I would probably be nosy as hell. I'd probably just like walk around and like spy on everybody. That's probably what
Oh,
I would
without
do.
question.
Yeah,
Without
you and I
question.
would just gossip about everybody in the hotel all day long.
You know, it'd be fun. Maybe we would leave notes for the people being talked about to like stir up shit.
Yes.
Like
Wait, we
we'd
would
be
be
the
the
pot stirrer.
Yes, we'd be the directors of this whole like our own reality show
I'd be
in a
like, "Oh,
hotel.
you're gonna like talk shit about Stacy? Well, guess is about to find out all of it, Miss
That's correct.
Stacy." And then I would just like wait for it to
Hey, Miss
explode.
Stacy, guess what?
What is wrong with us?
Or I'm like not even realizing how fucked up it sounds until you put a pause on that. I feel like I'd be like, oh my gosh, I saw that guy checking out that guy, or they're checking each other out.
Oh yeah.
We should nudge them together, see if we can create a
We would
love
play
connection.
matchmaker.
Oh my god, it would be so fun. Or if we caught somebody cheating, we would like, I don't know, do something, put their Bible in the toilet
Wait
or
a minute.
something.
TM 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 TM. What if
This
we
is
called
fun.
ourselves Karma Control?
Karma
And
control.
we would just be the ghosts were like, "Oh, they're
Watch
doing
out.
something sweet. Let's get something nice happening for
I am
them. Oh,
so into this.
this person doesn't deserve the guy hitting on her. Let's make her like let's give him
He's
like
being a
someone
creep.
sweeter." Yeah, like
Or
let's
yeah.
whatever. We'll arrange it so all the good people get good stuff and all the
Oh
not
my god,
great
I'm
people
so
get,
excited about this.
and we'll be like, "What's karma control? It's got to be something a little spooky in there. We'll figure it out. We'll shop it."
Yeah. Because TM to whatever we come up with. Because this
You
is
got
so fun.
the
A
karma
reality
creeps. The
show.
karma creeps. Wait a minute.
Karmic creeps. Karma creeps.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Mm.
So anyway, so Miss Paula also says that the same thing has happened to her with that door dance where like they're apparently it's like their favorite thing to do with her is like fuck with her in terms of like locking her in, then unlocking her, or locking her in until she like calls for help and a maintenance worker comes and then the door's unlocked, like
That's
just to make
so
her look
annoying.
stupid. Nobody told her about the ghosts when she first got the job,
Of
and she thinks
course.
it's probably on purpose. When she first got the job, she said she'd see a lot of things and didn't know what was what. And now she is very aware that like even new employees are probably always feeling that way.
Ugh.
Although she's very open about the ghosts, so I guess
Like
her
she
training
would,
is
yeah, she would bring it
different.
up like first thing.
She'd be like, "Are you cool with haunted places? Yes or no? No, get out."
Get out. You're not hired.
So Cowboy Jake, Miss Paula's first encounter with the ghost was in the railroad room, and apparently Cowboy Jake, who I said earlier is a regular spirit that people see, but he doesn't talk to anybody. He just kind of walks around, closes doors behind him. Um, he by the way, also he's also seen all over town, like up and down the streets outside of the hotel, and he's
Oh my
seen
gosh.
like still seen like drinking at other
See,
bars.
I like Jake. I think I would probably try to date Jake.
I think you and Jake would actually be like in love.
Probably. I mean, I would probably be in love with him. I can't say the same for him because I feel like you and I would be a lot to handle, but I think I
I
might
think
crush on
Cowboy
him.
Jake during like the Prohibition would be a lot to
Okay,
handle, to be
fair.
fair.
Maybe we met each other's match.
No, but he apparently like if you don't have the time to go book a spot in the hotel, you still might see him on the street, I guess. But he was seen walking through the hall, and he walked through the door, closed the door, and she knocked on the door and said hello. And the door opened and nobody was there, even though she had just
Ew.
watched someone walk in.
Do you think he was there and he was just invisible? That would scare me if it were like, are you there? And I just can't see you, or like, did you vanish? Blech.
Why did you say that? Because now absolutely that's how that
I'm
went
trying to
down.
get in Jake's mind, you see. Trying to
And Jake
understand.
sounds like a guy who likes to fuck around.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
He wants you to be on edge. Also, like, for the door to open by itself and like, I mean, he was there enough to open the door and
like,
show
it
you he
opened
wasn't
for a
there.
reason. He knows you're
Which
there.
means maybe he was hiding.
That's vomitous.
See ya. A few days. See ya, Jake. A few days later, he or Miss Paula saw the same guy walking down towards the same door, and she like screamed "Hey" at him, and he ignored her. Oh, I did call her or something because I remember her. Wasn't this like a line that she said and the whole crowd went crazy? Where it was like, she said like, "You can love me or hate me, but you better not ignore me" or something.
I 100% remember that, and you kept calling her Miss Paula or whatever, and you were like, "Yeah, you." Yes, I think that's exactly what it was.
She saw the guy walking away, and when she screamed "Hey" and he ignored her, I'm pretty sure maybe this was on the phone call or on YouTube. I remember hearing it somewhere, and she was like, "Love me or hate me, but you better not ignore me." And then people went fucking wild.
And Dallas, y'all were drinking.
Miss Paula, if you're listening to this, I really hope I did get a phone call with you because
gosh, what a fun time.
And so anyway, like immediately there, she won everyone's hearts over because she's a bad bitch.
Yeah, she is.
And she apparently saw the spirit a few more times, and eventually Miss Paula went into the lobby and shouted, quote, "All right, buckos, here's the deal. I don't want to see you. You're not allowed in my room, and don't you dare touch me." Like, okay, respecting boundaries. Like, what's going on here? So she like laid down the groundwork, and I guess for the most part they always respected that. At least the resident ghosts did, or the resident cowboys. And if every now and then they would start getting like kind of cocky and like try to like pull pranks on her and like mess with her room even though she said no, and she would yell at them and go, this is a quote, "You know the rules, get yourself out of here. You've got 8 rooms out there to play in and this ain't one of them."
Miss Paula.
And then they would calm down again.
Gosh, what a gem.
So she said things get moved around all the time. And in Miss Amelia's room, which apparently is there's a spirit of a little girl there who was born to one of the sex workers. She is seen and heard by the guests. Apparently her mom was a dancer, but you can hear the little girl in an EVP say, "I hate dancing."
Oh, honey.
Also, like, love that she's a rebel against like her mom's interests. Like, we're all the same person, just living in different times.
Just living sometimes in the 1940s, sometimes not.
There's also a little boy named Bobby who Miss Paula says terrorizes women because he likes to pull their hair and move the shower curtain.
Not cute, bud.
Another kid will whistle at you when you're in the bathroom.
Okay.
Now that feels,
you hooligans.
That is some tomfoolery. I feel really vulnerable right now. I'm on the toilet. Do you mind?
Karma control is gonna put you in line, little ones.
Apparently, Miss Paula, she walked past a mirror and said, "Whew, I'm getting old," and then heard a child laugh at her.
Oh, no, he didn't do that.
So they are a sassy bunch over there.
Yes, they are.
So Miss Josie's room is named after Miss Josie, who's the last madam when it was a bordello. And people have reported waking up to seeing her on the bed, watching them sleep.
Cool.
I simply just can't do it, bestie, as they say.
As the youth say.
As they say, "Hey, bestie, hey, girly pop, I would just pass away."
When M texted me the other day, "Girly pop, I don't have time for this" or something, I was like, what is happening in my life that you just texted me?
I saw one person at some point in the comments on TikTok call someone a girly pop, and I was like, that is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Literally sent it to me immediately, and it actually was fitting. I think I sent you something like really obnoxious, and I was like, that's actually the only appropriate response. So good job.
So many guests have seen a transparent looking woman walk through their closed door, by the way.
Mm-mm.
And then also apparently walk towards the closet door or like come through the room, then leave the room. But no matter what, it's a person going through walls. And Miss Paula has quit officially as the innkeeper. And when she was moving her stuff out, she saw a bunch of shoe boxes fly off of one of the shelves. Oh, Geo hated that. Is he still going? Okay. Bark, bark, bark. You know, my favorite thing about a dog is when they do the boof. They go,
Oof. Yeah.
they
I
go,
keep muting myself, so
boof.
you can keep talking. I'm just muting over here.
Here, I'll ironically do the
Oof.
dog sounds you're trying to avoid. Boof. I always think those are so fun.
That was very ironic. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Miss Paula was moving out and she watched a stack of shoe boxes fly off the shelves and she said, quote, "That was the last time they tried me." And he still does reservations and helps train new people, but like I said, there's a high turnover because of the ghosts. And she was quoted saying, "We're not doing any tours right now. We have a new." Oh, I don't know if this still lands or still tracks, but at the time, as Paul said, "We're not doing any tours right now. We have a new innkeeper, and we're trying to break her in slowly before she realizes that ghosts are a big part of her job."
Oh my God.
And then she said, "You can believe in ghosts or not believe in ghosts, but if you stay with us, you will believe in them by the time you leave." And that is
Wow.
the
I
story of Miss
wonder.
Molly's hotel.
I love it. I wonder. Woo!
Shout out to Miss Paula.
Wow. Shout out to Dallas. Shout out to Miss Paula. Shout out to the Karma crew or whatever we're called.
We'll figure it out.
I feel like we could do something about Big Brother, Real World.
Ugh, can you imagine one day when they figure out how to like actually get ghosts on TV and you can just have reality shows where it's human versus ghost, but
What
it's
about like Ghouls Next Door?
stop it. Who are you? Who are you? And what have you done with my best friend? Because that was fucking genius.
I need a life. Okay, let's see. I have a tale for you. Okay. This one is spooky. We're doing like a
Okay.
spooky episode today.
I'm very excited about that. I don't know how you're gonna fit spooky into true crime, but let's go.
Oh, well, prepare yourself. Okay. This is the story of Kayla Berg.
Okay.
So we're going back to 2016 here.
Okay.
Let me get comfortable. Actually, that's impossible, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, when was the last time you felt comfortable?
oh, I remember it was at age 16 when I didn't hurt. Every
Also,
time
for
I
the
got out of
folks
bed.
like me who don't know what it feels like, can you describe a kick from the inside with
It's
your little demon
freaky, and it
baby?
just started happening like this week or last week, and it feels kind of like someone is poking you. I mean, it feels kind of like someone's like,
Ugh.
I know, it's freaky.
I just poke them
I got
back.
an I do poke it back. I got an ultrasound yesterday, and the poor ultrasound tech was like trying to get a scan of the brain to make sure like everything was in order. No, the baby like headbutted the thing, like the brain was being scanned, and then it was just like this big movement, and the tech was like, "Oh, the baby does not like the ultrasound wand."
Okay, but your kid sounds like an asshole.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, easily irritated is the way that I kind of is what I took from it. Really
Huh.
not into it. Not into being like prodded and investigated. Which, fair.
Whatever. I mean, I'm really concerned about these feet because also, hang on a second. We never talked about this. Are you so the was the first kick like an emotional thing for you? Like, did you cry?
Well, no, I didn't cry. I don't now that I'm on antidepressants, I don't cry all that often anymore.
Okay.
Congratulations to me. Um,
Yay.
but I did the first time I felt it was on Mother's Day, so that was kind of cool.
Oh, that's precious.
But then what didn't happen again for a long time. But because at first you're not sure what it is. It feels almost like, was that like my stomach rumbling? Like it's hard to
Hmm.
tell. So I think just
Interesting. I'm glad that the answer was you didn't cry because and
nah.
maybe antidepressants were the reason. But I feel like that's a more I don't know. I feel like a lot of the experiences when you see it on TV or you see your friends go through it, it's like this big emotional wave. And I was always like, I don't think I'll have that. So it's nice to know
Yeah.
that like it's more normal that like, oh yeah, that's just the
It's
next part to
definitely
this.
cool. Well, I think it was a huge relief because after like several miscarriages, it's almost like, okay, it's still in there and it's moving. So it's alive. Like we're good.
Literally kicking.
Like we're good. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's more of just like a, oh, thank God feeling.
Yeah.
At least for me. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, but yeah.
Imagine if your baby learned how to tickle you from the inside.
Stop doing that. Em keeps coming up with these horrid ideas of what happens. And I'm like, don't say that. I
What if
have
the
to live
baby
with
found
this.
your belly button and poked it so it was inside out now?
I'm going to horrify you back. If you're going to play this game, I can win it. Okay. Because I'm actually experiencing it. I can come up with all sorts of freaky stuff.
You got a little alien in your baby.
Belly
Okay.
buttons and
And your butt
otherwise.
in your belly. Okay. Tell me your story. I'm sorry. Kayla Berg, let's go.
Okay. So 2016. October 8th, an old video resurfaces on YouTube. The video had originally been posted in 2009 and it was called, I want to know if you remember this. It was called, Hi Walter, I got a new GF, new girlfriend. I got a new girlfriend today. Hi Walter, it's me, Patrick. Do you remember this video?
Whoa, I think you just unlocked something in my head.
When I saw the thumbnail, I was like, oh shit.
Hang on, let me see. Let me make sure
Okay, but don't read anything because
I'm not going to. I won't.
okay.
I promise. Oh, I literally typed in hi W and it's I got a new girlfriend. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so everyone's having the moment with us,
Yeah.
I think.
We can
Oh,
post
yes. Okay. I just saw the icon and I'm done.
Do you remember what it is?
No, I actually don't remember. But I remember the icon, but I don't remember the video.
Okay. Well, here you go. Because
let's go.
Boy, oh boy. Okay, we'll post a photo of the thumbnail on Instagram. In the video, you can see a man talking to camera and he's speaking about how he got a new girlfriend. He says, Hi, Walter. I was at the mall today and guess what happened? I met the most wonderful girl. We went shopping at JCPenney's and she tried on a lot of clothes and she ended up buying a whole lot of them. You know what I mean? And then we decided to go and take a look at some of the jewelry at K Jewelers. She picked out this most awesome necklace, the most amazing necklace I've ever seen. And I know she wanted me to buy it for her because she kept on giving me the look. You know the look. And then we got kind of tired at the mall and I brought her back to my place. And I know she hates cameras, Walter, but I'm going to show you anyway. Are you ready? The guy then walks to what seems to be a locked bathroom in his basement and opens the door to reveal a woman on the floor, tied up and screaming.
Wait, okay. I didn't remember. I remembered the thumbnail. Did not remember any of the video until you just said a woman in the closet screaming.
Yeah, that part I remembered. I didn't remember anything
I think that's
about
hard to forget.
JCPenney's and K Jewelers, but I remember the
Wait,
bathroom.
that wasn't fake?
Okay, let me just tell the story. So he opens the bathroom door and there's a woman tied up on the floor screaming. And again, this video had been released originally in 2009 and it hadn't picked up like any traction until now, 2016.
Oh my God.
So as this video hits the main page of YouTube, starts getting traction, one person in particular caught onto this video and sent it on to a family friend, the Berg family.
Oh my God.
Who sent it immediately to the Antigo, Wisconsin police. And that is because Kayla Berg, a young teenager who'd been missing since 2009, by the way, the year that this video was released.
Yeah.
Had a striking resemblance to the girl in the video. And when this family friend watched the video, he was horrified. He thought it looked and sounded exactly like Kayla. And he said, from what I can see, the sound of her struggling, I've listened to it a million times and it sounds like her voice.
Oh my God.
So this video was forwarded to Kayla's mom, Hope, who also thought the girl looked a lot like her own daughter. And so the Antigo police posted it on social media. It quickly received national attention and brought this case back up that was like 7 years old at this point.
Wow.
So as for Kayla being missing, Kayla Berg, she was last seen August 11, 2009 by her friend 24-year-old Kevin J. Kilcheski. And it was only weeks before her 16th birthday. Kevin was a longtime friend of Kayla's brother Jimmy and was someone she'd known since childhood. And from what we know, Kayla and Kevin had been driving around their hometown of Antigo, Wisconsin, smoking pot. Sometime between 9 and 11 p.m., Kilcheski dropped Kayla off at her boyfriend/romantic interest's house. It's not clear whether they were dating or just like into each other. but his name's Miguel. And so Kevin drops Kayla off at Miguel's house in Wausau, Wisconsin, which is about 40 minutes away from Antigo. So Kevin remembered that the house, which was sitting right across the street from a place called the Colonial Manor Nursing Home, looked really ominous. It had all the lights off and just looked very creepy. But Kevin dropped her off there, and she allegedly hopped out of the car and went into the house. Up until potentially now this YouTube video in 2016, she would never be seen again.
Whoa.
So Kayla was born Kayla May Berg on August 29th, 1993. And though her parents split when she was really young, she was extremely close to her family. Her father was diagnosed with cancer when she was pretty young, and so she was very, very close to him and her mother. She was big into gymnastics, and she was on the high school gymnastics team and was about to start her junior year. Her parents, Hope Sprenger and James Spanbauer, said she was not the type to run away from home, and they pretty much always, at this point, kind of knew, like, they would have heard from her at this point. She wouldn't have just vanished.
Right.
So
And
Kayla did not have her. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, so the Kevin dropped Kayla off at this house, and I'm assuming at some point, like, this house gets investigated because. Okay.
Yes. So at this point, his story is he dropped her off at this house, and then later, they do go further, delve into like the timeline and everything. But that's his version of events.
Okay.
So her parents said she'd never run away. She didn't have her own cell phone or computer. And she wasn't the type of teenager who used the internet very much. Cannot relate to that one bit.
0%.
I'm like
0%. Unfortunately, because I was able to see this fucking video. So
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on an episode of Disappeared, Kayla's friends did say that what they did enjoy doing instead of being on the internet was hanging out with their older male friends because their idea of fun was going to house parties of older people. I was literally at home like adding skulls to my MySpace page at age 16, and she was going to house parties. So I guess,
I mean, I get the house parties thing.
Yeah, you were cooler than I was. I was just on MySpace and like stalking people who went to
who were at parties. And therefore not
and just like prank calling people, like
living the dream, man. Living the dream. We all had different dreams. You were living yours, I was living mine.
Listen, I figured out how to code some pink skulls onto my MySpace. I was perfectly happy.
Brava.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So they would go to house parties, hang out with older boys. And there's a blog called Stories of the Unsolved, and it elaborates on this, saying that it was in 2007 that her friend Meighan introduced her to the party scene in Wausau, Wisconsin. And the parties became the highlight of Kayla and her friends' weekends, but the girls often lied to their parents because there was a lot of underage drinking, and they would say, classic, oh, I'm at Meighan's house. Meighan said, I'm at Kayla's house.
Right.
Yada, yada. So although Kayla had grown up in Antigo, she had recently left 2 months ago with her mother, Hope, and moved to Texas. Her mom wanted to start start fresh. So she took Kayla with her and they moved to Texas. But pretty quickly, they got really homesick and they did not like it there. Sorry, Dallas. I know we just gave you a big shout out, but
there's one person out there who's not a fan.
They just miss Wisconsin. What can you say? So they didn't love it there. And Kayla's new high school didn't have a gymnastics team, which was really important to her. So Kayla was not happy. And then apparently Kayla's father also, his cancer took a bad turn right at this point as well. And so she just up and moved back to Antigo, and Hope, her mom, went with her. So they both kind of gave up on the Texas dream and went back home.
Okay, cool.
So that was August of 2009. So having moved back to Antigo, Kayla was staying with her dad at her grandparents' house while Hope was crashing with some friends, trying to find a new job and a new house because she had expected Texas to work out and was back now. So according to, have you heard of Danelle Hallen? I think it's pronounced Danelle Hallen. So she's a true crime YouTuber that I really like. Excuse me. And she covered the story and gave some details. She said there wasn't much space at Kayla's grandparents' house, and so Kayla was basically sleeping on a cot in the hallway. So they were all kind of like crashing where they could find a place to sleep.
Got it.
So because of this arrangement, it's kind of understandable Kayla started sleeping over at friends' houses, and especially with their habit of going to parties and stuff, she just kind of started bouncing around and staying over with friends
Okay.
whenever
Got it.
possible, which,
Sure.
makes sense. So, one of the first kind of suspicious elements of the case is that Kayla wasn't reported missing until August 16th, which was 6 days after she had gone missing.
Whoa.
Yeah, and 6 days is a long time.
A
I
long
think
time.
for like a
I
15-year-old.
I guess if like you're just like your parents know you as like the kid that's like sleeping over at a lot of places, like
Yeah,
maybe it's not that shocking.
that's it. Yeah, and that's exactly what kind of ended up being the case, is
Okay.
that they just sort of were worried,
She's
but they
somewhere.
assumed she was okay. And the
Yeah.
friends, I'll get more into detail about it, but it's exactly that like they were used to not seeing her for days at a time, and she didn't have a
Right.
cell phone. So
Whoa. Okay.
yeah, she didn't have a cell phone or internet or use the internet. So,
The self, I think, because my mom was kind of the same, where like she wouldn't see me sometimes, and she'd be like, "Well, there was someone. Like if something was wrong, we would have heard something." And
yeah.
but I always had a phone just in case. The phone thing that's
Yeah.
steep to just like not even be able to have to contact your kid. Wow.
Yeah, the phone thing would be hard if you had, I would imagine, if you were bouncing around to not have that
Yeah.
constant access. But she did have friends with a phone, but yeah, I think that would kind of definitely add confusion to the whole thing.
Yeah. Or maybe like the parents, since they like grew up also in an era where there was no phone, it was just like whatever, like
Yeah, like she's
we don't
and
know
it's a
any better.
small town, it's
Yeah.
like, well, she's just at a friend's. Exactly. So, according to the Charlie Project, the parents had a fairly open living arrangement for her and her older brother Jimmy, who had just graduated from school, and they often traveled back and forth by themselves between one parent's house and another, and then the grandparents' house. So it all makes sense. 6 days is a long time, I have to say. Like, I feel like it's. I get it. I get both sides of the story. Basically, is what I'm trying to
I
say.
do too. I get it.
So Hope remembers that on Tuesday, August 11th, Kayla had called her up to say that she'd be spending the day at her friend Natasha's and that they were going to hang out. And that did happen. Kayla and Natasha spent the day moving between Natasha's house and the park until 5 p.m. when Natasha had to head off to work. So instead of leaving with Natasha, Kayla hung around because Natasha's brother Jimmy and Kevin, the one who ended up driving her around smoking pot with her later,
Sure.
were hanging out. And so she hung out with those two guys. And it was at this point that Kayla and Kevin arranged to hang out later that evening. So
Hmm.
Kayla heads back to her dad's, and around 8:45 p.m., Kevin picks her up.
Okay.
The following morning, James Spanbauer, Kayla's dad, notices that his daughter didn't come home that night. He calls up Kevin, and Kevin says, "Oh yeah, well we hung out, we drove around, and I took her to Miguel's house, the
Sure. The creepy
boyfriend or
house.
love interest. Yeah, the abandoned house or the creepy house." Um, After they'd hung out all evening. So he's like, "That's where I left her." So the dad waits a day, thinking like, well, she's probably hanging out with that guy or with her mom or whatever. There's still no sign of Kayla, so he contacts Kayla's mom, Hope. And then Hope is like, "I also haven't heard from her." So Hope calls up a few of Kayla's friends, including Natasha. And interestingly enough, a couple of days prior to this, on August 9th, something sort of similar had happened with Kayla because she and a few friends
Oh,
had gone to a party, and each of them kind of told each other's parent or told their own parents that they were at each other's houses. And so Kayla's mom was like, well, maybe she's pulling another one of these, like,
right.
"Oh, I'm over here. I'm at dad's," but
Like
like,
it had just happened similarly, so it
yes,
almost took away the sense of urgency.
exactly. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Like, this wasn't the first time she had been away and kind of lied about where she was.
Mm.
So, because Kayla and most of her friends didn't have cell phones, only one of them did. When Kayla's mom tried to get in touch with the house that Kayla said she was staying at, both parents kind of realized suddenly that uh, neither of them knew where their daughters were.
Shit.
Alarming. And all the parents became worried. They immediately went to report them all missing. And at the police station, the group of parents finally got a call from the one kid who did have a phone, who says, "We're all safe. They messed up. We're sorry." So that had just happened. And so this is why Kayla's parents are a little bit like, well, maybe she's just pulling one of these teenage things again where
Sure.
she's not telling us the truth. So they're hesitant to report her missing, thinking like she's probably okay. But Kayla's friend Beth got in touch with the parents pretty soon, saying she had seen Kayla on the evening of the 11th, when Kayla and Kevin had stopped by the McDonald's where she worked. This is a friend, Beth. Kevin stayed in the car, and Kayla went inside and told Beth that Kevin had gotten her a coming home present, and they were going to smoke weed and drive around.
Okay.
So she said, "Beth, I'll call you later." Evidently, she never did.
Mhm.
Not a single person, they quickly realized, knew where she was, except that she had last been seen with Kevin.
Jeez. Oh my God. I can't even imagine the panic.
No, must be out of this world. As said earlier, it was only on August 17th she was officially reported missing. And Kayla's parents have received a lot of flack, a lot of criticism on social media, on comments, for what seems kind of like what people have called reckless parenting. But again, like we've talked about this. I mean, they'd been hearing so many different strands of information from different friends. She had just kind of pulled something similar a few days ago.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like I like, and this sounds, maybe this like isn't the right phrase anymore, but it reminds me of like the boy who cried wolf, and that like, you know, if something so similar is happening very often, then like there's just not the same
the urgency, like you said.
worry. There's not
Yeah,
the same worry. So
exactly.
it, and then eventually, and then all of a sudden that person's missing, and I imagine there's that like initial guilt of like, how could I have not known? But also realistically, like, you had a kid who was sneaking out a lot. Not, we're not victim blaming here. I'm just saying like they had reason to think like nothing
To
was
hesitate.
different than normal. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were like three houses. So there were the grandparents, the dad, and the mom. Could have been, at any of their houses. A lot of friends, a boyfriend or a
Yeah,
romantic
could have been hooking
interest.
up with someone that like
Hmm.
we didn't know about, could have been smoking weed with someone and everyone was keeping it hush hush,
Yeah.
like.
It just seemed like there were a lot of different possibilities. And they were hearing from different friends saying, "Oh, yeah, I saw her. She was hanging out," whatever. So they just kind
Right.
of assumed she was okay. Again, also, her dad was really sick with cancer at this point. Like, I'm sure.
There was distractions.
Yeah, and they weren't assuming something terrible had happened in this small town. So, it's hard to throw blame around. I don't feel right criticizing anybody that I can't imagine being in their position.
Sure, sure.
So, I feel like I
Also
don't.
not victim blaming
No.
Kayla either.
Oh,
We're
for
not
sure.
saying that's, because she was always out and not
No,
telling
no,
everyone what
no.
was going on, it's her fault. That's not what we're saying.
No, 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 not
I
at
I did
all.
the same shit when I was a kid, so,
Yeah. I mean, I just played on MySpace, but you never know.
I snuck around. Like, I mean, like, maybe not to the same degree, but like there were days where my mom didn't know where I was, or I said I was somewhere else, so
Yeah,
I get
I
both
probably
sides
did that
totally.
too. Yeah. So Kayla's brother Jimmy had said that Kayla was staying. So that's the other thing, is that Kayla's brother Jimmy had told his parents that, "Oh no, I'm pretty sure Kayla's just staying with a different friend that you haven't talked to." And so the parents were relieved briefly, but then Jimmy
Mm,
found out this was just a rumor and it wasn't even true. Uh, and so, things were confusing. And
sure.
yes, 6 days, long time.
Oof.
Looking back, hindsight is 2020. So just a few days after the missing persons report was filed, the police changed Kayla's case to an endangered missing child's case. And this was in all the local newspapers and media. And, a lot of tips came rolling in. All were dead ends, unfortunately. On August 26th, the police received a tip that Kayla had been spotted at a nearby Walmart and then leaving in a truck. So they got the surveillance footage, and there was a young woman who resembled Kayla. But when her mom watched it, she said, "That's not my daughter." So
Okay.
unfortunately, that was another dead end. And as reported by the Charlie Project, the police had thought that her friends appeared evasive, as if they were trying to conceal her whereabouts.
Mm,
So at first, police just thought she had run away and that the friends were covering for her.
okay.
However, as weeks passed with nobody having heard from Kayla, police started to take it a little more seriously as not just a runaway case. And they obviously at this point are like, "Well, Kevin's the last one to be seen with her. We should probably chat with him."
Yeah, at that point you got no one else, but start backtracking.
Yeah, start backtracking to the last person to have seen her alive. And in his interview, Kevin went through that night from his point of view. He had simply dropped Kayla off at this dark, creepy house, which Kayla said was that of her romantic interest, Miguel. And Kevin confidently asserted he had dropped Kayla off at 10:30 and then headed back to his parents. But guess what?
Uh-oh.
Soon discovered that this house where Kevin had dropped Kayla off had been condemned a month earlier. And it is
Oh
where
no.
Miguel used to live,
Oh
but no
no.
longer lived.
Kevin, Kevin, Kevin,
Kevin,
Kevin,
Kevin,
Kevin,
Kevin, Kevin.
Kevin, Kevin.
So, top of that, according to Kayla's friends, via the Trace Evidence podcast, which is a great show, by the way, her friends told police Kayla knew full well Miguel didn't live there anymore.
Ew, that makes it so much more creepy.
Yeah, I have goose cam from
So
my own
does
story.
that mean she was drugged or something? Or like for
Question
her?
mark, question mark.
Yeah, I mean, for her, if she knew, if he said like, "Oh, we're going to Miguel's," and she knew better, like, then like, so why was she still like playing the game? Like, what was actually there? Or maybe told her in confidence a different story about like, "Oh, Miguel used to live here, but I'm watching the place," or
Or maybe he's lying and said, I dropped her off at Miguel's house. And police said, oh, where? And he points at that house and they say
uh-huh.
Miguel doesn't live there anymore.
Or maybe none of it's fucking true. You're
You didn't know
completely
that,
right.
but Kayla did. Well, we don't know.
The way it was in my head was that Kayla knew that Miguel didn't live there, but she still went with Kevin anyway, and then Kevin like trapped her down there or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we don't know.
It's not how it went. But all of them terrible situations. Okay.
All bad, right? All very
awful.
bad. The fact that the house was condemned and nobody lived there and Kayla knew it makes it just so much creepier, like you said.
Wow.
So
Okay, so now it's like, really, where the fuck is she?
where the fuck is she? Because now it's like, why would she go to this house if she was on her way to see this guy she liked? Well, not to see Miguel, because Miguel denied having seen her at all on the day or night of the disappearance, and said the last time he had actually seen her was at a party a week ago. Miguel himself, he was 4 years older than Kayla. They had been boyfriend and girlfriend, but Kayla's parents weren't happy about the age difference and told her to end things. So basically, it's unclear whether they were like together or just like hooking up or just like she was still into him. Who knows? But that's why I'm kind of being vague on the language of
Got it.
romantic interest.
Got it.
But they had dated at one point in time. So Miguel's family had moved out of this house that Kevin allegedly dropped her off at over a month ago. And Danelle Hallen, I think it's Hallen, the true crime YouTuber, says Kayla had been at Miguel's new house the week before, like at his new house. So there's no reason why she would have told Kevin, drop me off at this old abandoned house.
Yeah, she knew that he wasn't there.
She knew where his new house was on top of everything else. So sketchy. Now, if you kind of look back and analyze what Kevin has told police, he's this 24-year-old. He dropped off a 15-year-old at a house, which he acknowledged looked creepy and empty, and all the lights were off. Furthermore, he told police that he never checked to see. He didn't see her go inside. He never saw whether she got in safely. He just left. So sketchy. When Kayla's family hears about this, they're kind of like, whoa, record scratch, because they said, knowing Kayla, according to Trace Evidence, she was absolutely terrified of the dark. And she said she would have never, ever, ever, ever gone into an abandoned or creepy house by herself for any reason.
If I were Kayla's parents and I knew where Kevin lived, I think I would have lost my mind and probably impulsively just like killed Kevin.
Oh yeah,
without question. I bet, like, where the fuck is she?
This man, something is up. Something is up.
Yeah, he knows something.
He knows something, because they were like, there's no way she would have done this. Like, bullshit. Like, we're calling total bullshit. So Kayla's friends told police that if Kayla were ever going to see Miguel, he would typically come pick her up. Kevin had never dropped her off before at his house. Like, this is just a weird story that Kevin has. But of course, authorities have to check in on Miguel, because obviously. And so his phone record showed that he hadn't gotten in contact with Kayla or Kevin that day. They searched the house that he used to live in, this abandoned house. And they searched Miguel's new home, but they found absolutely nothing that could have led them to believe Kayla was ever there the day she disappeared.
Wow.
They also looked into Kevin's cell phone records and confirmed that Kayla had made 2 calls to Kevin from her grandparents' house on the day of her disappearance. And around 2 a.m., his phone was switched off.
Oh.
Kevin.
Okay.
So at this point, Kevin is like real sus.
He is like in trouble.
At least with me. At least with the distant person that is me.
At least with our podcast, he is in a real pickle.
He's in a pickle, indeed. He unfortunately was able to provide an alibi. because according to Stories of the Unsolved, that blog, he repeatedly told police he went straight home to Deerbrook, Wisconsin after dropping her off. And this alibi was verified by his mother, who saw him around midnight that night. But listen, I watch a lot of SVU lately, and a mother's alibi,
wishy-washy at best.
At best, because she's gonna say, I saw you. If you're like, Mom, I'm under investigation.
Yeah, she's biased. Are you
Most
kidding me?
moms are gonna be like, I would rather protect you without even fully knowing the story.
Yeah, they're gonna protect the shit out of their kid, of course.
And we've seen that before, time and time again. So that was his only alibi, was that his mom said she saw him at midnight. So
okay.
Question mark. So clearly aware the authorities are suspicious about his involvement, Kevin hires a lawyer. Miguel isn't fully off the hook either. It was quickly discovered that he actually had a second phone that he hadn't told police about.
Kevin.
No, this is Miguel.
Oh, Miguel.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
Miguel.
Seemed like so off the hook. And then they find out he has the second creepy phone.
You know, I was literally going to say too, like, can you imagine being Miguel and finding out that you were almost framed for something?
Yes. And how scary.
Never mind. Now the plot thickens.
The plot thickens. But also, can you imagine if you had a second phone for like totally unrelated reasons and you were like, well, shit, do I tell them? Right. Or does that make me look more guilty?
Right. Like, what if it's just like for work or something?
Yeah, it seems. You know? But so, of course, it's so much worse that he didn't turn it in and then they discovered it.
So Miguel, you're also in a pickle.
You're join the pickle jar. Kevin's over here.
Get the barrel of pickles. Just a barrel of pickles over here.
Everyone's brining, and you're now brining too. So,
Miguel, now that's a Vlasic.
Stop it. So they're both pickling away, and it turns out he has a second phone. So they scanned this phone, discover that it had pinged off a tower about 40 miles north of Wausau and had made 2 calls on the night of Kayla's disappearance. The calls were extremely short, and police speculated they didn't last enough for anyone to have a conversation. Oh. But apart from those 2 calls, there didn't seem to be like any use on this phone, like barely ever used. So even though like it can't be proven that these calls went anywhere important, it is weird that they were used that night that she disappeared.
Oh, absolutely.
Only. Like that's still strange.
That's sus, fam.
That's sus.
No
fam.
cap.
Oh my god, stop trying to be a teen. It's embarrassing.
I'm just letting them know how it sounds to my ears.
Well, thank you for illuminating us.
You're welcome.
So with Miguel and Kevin as 2 key suspects within the disappearance of Kayla Berg, police decide to search both of their cars. They used luminol, and there was blood detected in both cars. Unfortunately, they weren't able to confirm where the blood had come from or whether it was Kayla's.
Ugh,
honestly, wow. I bet you if you search my car, there's probably some weird shit in there that I don't know where it came from. So
if you told me there was blood that wasn't yours in your car, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah,
that tracks.
Sounds about right. That sounds about right. So I don't think that's the most like damning evidence, especially because it was found in both their cars. 7 weeks after Kayla went missing, police searched an area near the vacant house where Kevin said he dropped Kayla off. They took a cadaver dog, which I'm always like, yes, bring the dogs.
Always, every time.
More than we do.
They always do.
Always. So they brought the dog, and the dog identified a pond nearby. So a team was brought in to investigate. They didn't find anything. In December of 2009, police got in touch with Officer Carmen Corcoran to conduct some sniff searches with some other dogs. Bring in the dogs on some of the cars. So they were trained to look only for signs of human decomp. So they lined up 10 cars, and Kevin and Miguel, it's like a lineup, like Kevin and Miguel.
Like a doggy lineup. It's so sweet.
Well, a car lineup.
Well, but for the dogs to smell though, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. A lineup for the doggies. Yeah. So they lined up like 10 different cars, and Kevin and Miguel's cars are like mixed in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the dogs conducted a sniff search. So they landed on one car. Would you like to guess which car it was?
Either Miguel or Kevin's.
Which one?
Let's go with Miguel.
Kevin.
Damn. All right. Well, second place.
Second place. It wasn't all the 8 strangers that they landed on. Good job, Em.
Could all of those cars actually have like rodeo themes, like Miss Molly's Hotel? Like,
it's a cowboy car.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So Kevin's the one. His car was sniffed out as having some sort of cadaver scent, some sort of dead body scent on it.
Uh-oh.
And it was the only one. If that's not enough, other locations were searched with cadaver dogs. And the cadaver dogs pointed out Kevin's parents' home and the potato farm where he worked. So those were the other two locations that the cadaver dogs detected this
There
scent
were,
on.
am I about to find out that this body is buried in a potato farm for fertilizer for potatoes?
Well, since it's an unsolved case, I unfortunately you're not about to find that out,
Oh,
but
okay. It feels a
anything's
little too on
possible.
the nose. I was like, am I about to find out that someone's body became potato fertilizer? Because that would be awful.
It's possible, but I totally don't know.
Okay.
But so they found this scent on Kevin's parents' house and his work and his car. So basically, like outrageous odds that this would happen without any sort of reason. Like this
Hmm.
wasn't just an accident that these dogs smelled dead
No,
body on all three of his.
I don't mean to be making assumptions here, but I have a hunch, and my hunch is no.
We have
There's
a
no-
hunch. We have a hunch that the dog's hunch is onto something.
I'm gonna trust the dogs, to be
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. So even though this is like all very, very, very damning, according to a blog called "It's Crime O'Clock Somewhere,"
Wait a
which
minute.
is I
Oh my
know it's
God.
made by this woman named Kylie. It's great. Police did not have enough information to prove that it had anything to do with Kayla, so they basically just had this circumstantial, like, well, his house does smell like a dead body, but so does Megan's locker, I guess. So we can't prove a thing.
That
Um,
was not what I saw coming, but you know what? I liked it anyway.
but there is a friend named Megan in here. I don't mean that Megan. I mean the ethereal Megan that we discuss on
Right.
a higher
Oh yeah,
plane.
the Megan
Yeah.
who smells like a dead fucking body, but
The
like
existential Megan.
yeah, the elusive Megan spelt with 3 eyes
And
somewhere in her
so
name.
many H's. Yeah, exactly. So there was not enough evidence to put Kevin on trial, but in October of '09, he was arrested and charged with second-degree reckless endangerment, which was a
Mm.
felony related to having smoked pot with her on the night that she disappeared. So this was their attempt at kind of getting him on something different.
Aha.
But unfortunately, it was dismissed in 2011. And Kevin hasn't been charged or named as a suspect in her actual disappearance. And he is no longer cooperating with the investigation, according to the Charlie Project.
Is this the end of the fucking story?
Almost.
Oh my God.
Almost.
Okay.
So, as Reddit user Lee Run 6 puts it, if he has a lawyer, there's no reason for him to be uncooperative with police since he was the last person to see her alive and was alone with her in his car for a few hours before he dropped her off and she was never seen again. He should want to help out if he's innocent, and his lawyer would be present to protect him from accusatory questioning. When you're
Mhm.
the last person to see someone define their when you're the last person to see someone define their disappearance and you're uncooperative, that's because he's guilty and his lawyer knows it. Dun dun dun. So this is just a Reddit
Whoa.
user, but I thought it made a good point that
Yeah, I think so.
if you're uncooperative about your good friend going missing, it just never sits well with me. Sorry.
It's not a good look, that's for
No.
sure. At the end of the no matter what the truth is, it's not a good look.
And I obviously get a lawyer. If you're being accused of something, get a lawyer. I get it. You know, I would do the same. But it's just, I don't trust Kevin one bit.
Yeah.
I don't trust him. So we
I
fast forward
don't
7
either.
years and this YouTube video, remember, hi Walter, I got a new girlfriend
Yeah.
today, appears.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, in these years and years, nothing has really progressed in figuring out what happened to Kayla. So unfortunately in 2014, Kayla's dad had passed away from cancer. And in 2016, suddenly this shocking video comes back, it resurfaces, and even her mom goes, that kind of looks like my daughter. So
Fuck.
everyone's thinking, you know, could it be her? Almost immediately, the FBI get involved, and the Antigo Police Facebook thread gets overwhelmed with stories, theories, suspects, questions, like people saying, look in the reflection of the glasses. Like, I think there's somebody there, like just trying to find any clue in this video that they can.
Sure. Yeah.
And though it is shocking and revolting, it kind of brought like a sense of hope to people who were like, well, maybe we can finally have a new lead on this
Or at
case.
least an answer, like at least closure.
Something. Closure, exactly. So unfortunately, this hope was squashed when it was discovered that the video was a hoax.
Oh my God, Christine
I know.
Schieffer.
I'm so sorry.
I
I'm so
mean,
sorry.
yay, but also not
I know.
Yay.
I remember
I don't
when
even
this
know how to
video
feel.
I know, and it's so icky because like and that it was made by actors. It was not meant to look like I mean, this was back in 2009, like when they had made it. And it was made by actors who like profusely apologized. They said it's a joke. I don't think it's a funny joke to have a woman tied up in your bathroom as, whatever, but
Oof. And also I would go even further, like down a notch to apologize that like, wow, you finally like had probably started having some semblance of normalcy again. And then to have not
mhm.
only hope that maybe your daughter or your friend's alive, but also now the last image you have of her you associate with someone being tortured,
Yeah.
and it's like just like an even worse way to
7
it was
years
almost
later. Yeah,
yeah, it
this
was
is
almost
how
like
it
affirming whatever your worst fear was all
Yeah.
those years ago.
Yeah. And so it's almost like just mixed feelings of like, okay, that was a dead end, but also like, yeah, thankfully it wasn't real.
Yeah, but also,
Um
like, now I still have something actualized in my head, and it's ugh.
yes, exactly. And so they did profusely apologize. I mean, it wasn't their fault. They didn't do it on
No,
purpose,
was not.
but it's also like I mean, I could say it's in poor taste, but like we've had YouTube since we were like
Oh
12.
my
Like I
god,
know that YouTube is in there's plenty of poor taste YouTube videos and
I don't think there's any one of us in our generation who, like, has made some video that they don't regret,
that's
like, in
probably
some
true.
way, so
That's probably true. We're just lucky we didn't have
oof.
TikTok to immediately upload it.
That's very true, yeah.
So to
Uh,
this day, the case remains unsolved. Kayla Berg remains unfound, and her friends and family remain utterly heartbroken. Um, in regards to Lace with Kevin, Stories of the Unsolved noted that he refused to take a polygraph test offered by the FBI and instead later took one from a private firm, which he claims he passed, but they've never publicly released that. So, like, fuck
I'm
off. I don't trust
sorry,
that
like,
for a second.
I don't wanna, like, decide for you know, I don't wanna decide who's guilty and who's not because I don't know, but also, like, nothing sounds like nothing feels that he's innocent to me
No,
personally.
exactly. And honestly, you don't
Not
have
to
to make the
drag someone's
call.
name
I'm
through.
not going to make the call, but Reddit has certainly made the call.
Oh,
Reddit
okay.
Reddit believes that Kevin had something to do with it. Then again, as if you guys watch the Cecil Hotel documentary, you can see that people can band together against somebody who's innocent as well. So I'm not here to say we should all go out with pitchforks after this guy, but it is shady and the
He's definitely on
theory
my radar
on your
in this
radar.
story. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Precisely. And I will say too that the cover up story that they think he used is that he gave Kayla's boyfriend's address as where he dropped her off, not knowing that her boyfriend had moved. So basically, he was like, "Oh yeah, I
Uh-huh.
dropped her off at her boyfriend's. That house on this street." And they were
And then
like,
he found himself a
"You know,
pothole
in a
in his
big pickle barrel, right?"
a big pickle barrel. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So every year, family and friends
Ooh.
gather to release balloons in tribute to her. If you do have any information regarding the case, you can contact the Antigo Police at 715-627-6411. As a brief description, Kayla would be 27. She's a Caucasian female, brown hair, brown eyes, has a scar on her right shin and smallpox scars on her right cheek and the right side of her nose. She has abdominal scars from laparoscopic surgery and her appendix has been removed. If you happen to check that, I don't
If you
know.
happen to look through her organs, I really
Organs.
hope
Yeah,
not.
her navel is pierced and her ears are double pierced, and her nickname is KK. So
Oh.
that's the story of Kayla Berg. You can Google her, or we'll probably put on Instagram a photo of her if you have any
Oof.
information. So that's the story of Kayla Berg and the poor actors that got caught up in something 7 years later that they probably forgot they even posted.
Oh my god. Yeah, I can't imagine. Ugh, wow. Just sounds like every single person involved in this had some sort of bad luck.
Just
Except
wild.
if except if Kevin is guilty and got
Yeah,
away with it. It sounds like he got some good
he
luck.
only has Reddit and us after him, which means nothing in the grand scheme of
Right,
things
right,
for
right, right.
him.
Wow. That was a good one. You're right. I like the spookiness. You found a way to do a little unsolved mystery mixed with
Yeah,
like
kind of some like urban lore, like internet
you know I love a good
creepiness.
urban lore. Wow. Very, very, very nicely done after
Aw.
that nightmare fuel from last
After
week.
the rough times that I brought to
Yeah.
our birthday table. Yeah,
I
sorry.
appreciate that there's a balance, a harmony now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everything's back to normal. Well,
Ah,
thank you so much to everyone who's listening. We next week, it's going to be fun. The next episode you hear from us is going to be one of two episodes we record in the same day. So, good luck
good luck
to
to
us.
you and to us.
Where we used to record multiple episodes in advance, and we haven't done it in a while, but I
been a
remember
while.
being very sleepy afterwards. So good luck
We
to
got
us.
Postmates. We always allow ourselves Postmates on the days we record. So
Very true. Well, I'm gonna go order Postmates now, actually. So,
yay, me too.
and
That's
why
we.
are fresh out of the oven.
Oh, look at that. Now that's Hoboken style, baby.
Now that's Hoboken, baby. Drink.
All right.
All right.
Oh, wait, let me stop the video. Sorry. Bye, YouTube.